45. Brown, 45. Hot, 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 hot.
You are listening to Any Given Sunday, Australia.
Yes, hello and welcome to the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast, the number one podcast in at least 3 households, 1 studio, NFL Australia head office, American Football Australia head office, ABC Studios, Budgie Smuggler head office, ESPN Studios. It is growing. It grows every single year. I remember the first time I did this, Danny, it was hardly anyone was listening. Joining us, as always, in the eastern wing of his household, at Danny Webb, AGSAU. How are you, mate?
You want to hope it grows, mate. That's generally the idea.
That is the plan. That is the general trajectory. What was up and to the left? That's what we're to the right, whatever it is. And joining us in, I think it's his 5th bedroom of his Palladium house, wherever that is, at Charlie Pick. How are you, mate?
I'm very well. It's great to be back. Sorry I've been absent for a couple of weeks, but we are all in the same place, theoretically speaking.
Once again, for the first time since the Super Bowl.
That's exactly right. Yeah, very exciting. It's nice. I think Danny has almost stopped gloating about the Super Bowl.
So how's the raspy throat? How are you feeling?
That is nice.
Myself, how am I feeling?
Yeah,
I'm feeling great, mate. Still great. Still on cloud 9, and I don't think it's going to stop. I don't think it's going to stop until we lose week 1, and then I might throw my toys out the cot.
And you lose week 1. You've called it early. Sorry, my missus is ringing me at the worst possible time. You should be on cloud 9 for, what are we, 3 weeks after? 4 weeks?
You said this is going to be the worst off-season that you could have. I was either going to cry the whole time or I was going to gloat the whole time. So we just really got to dive in hard on this.
Yeah, and you've got an outrageously good shirt. I saw you showing it off. I've also got my latest Any Given Sunday shirt. Quick plug. Those, get on to anygivensunday.dust.automate. This is a Seahawks one. I actually really rate it. The colours look awesome. So get yourself your own. It's been a huge few weeks, Danny boy, Charlie. It's just finished off with the Combine. So we're heading into draft season. We've just finished off the Combine. And, Danny, it was a huge pro kick turnout there, which was there was a photo that I shared on our socials and 5 or 6 pro kick lads there. Outrageous when you think about it and actually step back to think we've got 5 or 6 Aussies at the Combine.
My favourite part about all of this was there was a comment from someone American. I can't remember who it was, but being like, how good is it that our game has grown so much that these boys are just learning how to kick just to play this game? I was like, don't really know if that's how it works. I'm pretty sure they were kicking the ball since as soon as they could.
Yeah, and now changing the game, actually. We've actually made this... like this position has grown due to us. So
there is also like some, and this might just be in the second Trump presidency. This has come to the surface, but there are suggestions that there are immigration issues around Australian kickers getting places at US colleges, saying that they are jumping the queue to get into the United States just because they can kick. And I'm just so proud of our little Aussie illegal immigrants taking spots in US colleges. It's very good to see.
Does that not show that we are making a difference? That the fact that they're trying to, a bit of a fugaze, that, they're changing scores and things like that just so they can jump in. We're obviously getting under their lids.
Yeah, because they can't understand it. They can't understand how anyone from anywhere else could be so good at kicking a ball. And as Danny said, it's because we're kicking a ball from the age of 2, mate. None of you were interested in being a kicker until it turned out you were no good at being a quarterback or a wide receiver.
Or you give up on soccer and you have a crack at it anyway. Yeah. No, I love it. But Danny boy, you look like you were ready to prom with something.
Just back to the whole Trump thing. Being a student doesn't get you a green card or anything, does it? You can't necessarily work. I don't understand why they're so upset about it. Let the boys punt. Let the boys punt. Yeah, that is. No, and I did put that photo up, and there was 5 or 6 of us. I think 4 of them have been on the show. Just a little tug on our vest, but yeah, it's huge. I love it. They've had a punt with Pat McAfee, which is huge.
in itself. So I love it. We're getting places, and it also means that we're heading towards this draft season, and there's going to be some huge things coming in the next few weeks. So I think this is, in recent memory, I know, Danny, you're recent to the actually taking notice at this time of year. Before then, you didn't really give a shit. But this feels like the biggest off-season so far, in as far as I can remember. Charlie, you?
It feels like there are a lot of tantalizing things that are about to happen. You feel like there's a whole lot of shoes about to drop, and there are some big pieces that are yet to land. And that's before we really get into the bulk free agency period at the moment.
Yet.
Yeah. We're only what? We're a few days away from the legal tampering period.
Yes, which is fun.
And there are already stories to talk about.
Well, if we had done this last week, Danny boy, our lead story would have been that Matt Stafford is leaving and then Aaron Rodgers is going to the Rams. And that's obviously been squashed with Stafford signing. And yeah, but that would have been
Did anyone
huge.
run that story past McVay? Oh, is Aaron Rodgers coming to the Rams?
Yeah.
I don't think McVay would have entertained that for 5 minutes, honestly.
Yeah. Or if he lost Matt Stafford, he might have. He's got the 43-year-old college man. Who's the guy that played Georgia for so many years?
43-year-old college man.
Yeah.
Is it Rodney Dangerfield? Is that who you're talking about?
Oh, I feel bad. I've forgotten his name. He won like 4 national titles at Georgia, but I can't.
Oh yeah, the
Starts with S.
Yeah.
Anyway, they've got him as a backup, so they'll be fine. They actually wanted to bring Rodgers in to be mentored by him because he's actually older than Rodgers.
Give Rodgers a bit of wisdom that the ayahuasca wouldn't give him. But
we talk about Stetson Bennett.
Bennett, that's right. Judging by that name, he's actually from the 1850s.
Yeah.
But
Also McVay, allegedly, which I also didn't believe this article, came out and said, it's all right, we're happy with Jimmy G if Matt Stafford walks.
Please, he can't stay in the park.
One thing I will say, and one of the rumors that I heard, the mail I was getting in from the negotiations around Stafford, was that it was very close, that there was actually, I think it was the Giants had hit the number to get him over there, and that he was very close to going, and there was a good trade package involved. The Rams would have been okay with the deal, but it was Matt Stafford looking out at an afternoon sunset over the Pacific Ocean that said, nah, I like California. We're going to stay put. And that was it. Matt Stafford just decided, why would he spent so long in Detroit.
Yeah.
In the winter in Detroit. He's like, why would he go anywhere else?
That he was going to LA while he was in Cabo. So I feel like he's just done the same thing and gone, I'm staying where it's warm. I'll be fine. New York Giants is where QBs go to die. So I'm not going there. I've still got a couple of good years. So that kind of leads straight into our next one. And this is, I put a post up the other day saying that the New York Packers have been split up. Aaron Rodgers is officially on the way out. Davante Adams, as of the last few days, has been cut. Alan Lazard's been told to find a new home. Randall Cobb's gone. New York has literally blown up where 6 months ago they were all forming together to make the New York Packers. But Danny boy,
okay, hang on, wait. Sure, okay, Rodgers, Adams. There's a lot to talk about there. Please tell me where Randall Cobb's going. Can we focus on the Randall Cobb Lazard situation?
I actually rate Randall Cobb. He's a guy. He's done. He's retired. I'm sure he's going to sign a one day at the Packers and then retire a Packer. But I liked it. He was good.
I feel like Cobb and Lazard. You know Seabiscuit, the movie Seabiscuit, how he had a little pony that would travel with him to keep him happy. That's like Lazard and Cobb are just Aaron Rodgers' little accompany ponies to keep him happy at whatever team he lands on.
Well,
really,
they could be going wherever he goes, Danny boy. Is he going? Is he doing a Brett Favre and taking Darnold's spot?
He's got to, doesn't he? Just finish the script. Why not? Like, what? I don't know if the Vikings necessarily want him, but I feel like we need to do it just for the story.
I guarantee the Vikings do not want him.
Just for the script.
There is no way that the Vikings want him. The Vikings have a quarterback and they've got another quarterback. They don't need him.
Here's a wild one for you. Does he just jump New York's and go to the Giants?
I think that's now favourite, is it not? He's
It's
just
gotta
gone.
be,
I'm just going to walk over the other side of MetLife. I'll keep my car park. I'm going that side.
My card still works.
It still works. They still let me in the building.
Because
I've got
honestly,
another one for you. More wild than the Giants, but I'll let you finish your little go.
I was going to say, honestly, this is perfect because we'll lean into it. Honestly, because you're such the biggest fanboy, it's probably hard for you to say, but who really wants Rodgers right now?
Yeah, I do love him. I still love him. I've said to a few people, like, I think it's getting to a point where you're like, come on, mate, maybe just go off with a bit of grace. But then I also don't blame him. Like, if you're going to pay me $50 million, I'll come work for you.
Yeah, I'll come and ruin your franchise for $50 million.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey,
Why not?
He did not ruin the Jets. The Jets did that to themselves.
Yeah. They were ruined well before then.
But is there anything? Okay, take out the Achilles season, right? Take that out. Is there anything about what he did at the New York Jets that says this is someone you need at your team? I would take Jimmy G because at least he'll be pleasant company.
Did he not have one play on a broken play where it was like only Rodgers would do it? He saw the flag go and he threw a massive 6-yard bomb to Lazard and everyone kind of gave up on the play because the flag went, but it actually went in their favor and the touchdown counted. I remember that.
Yeah. So you're telling me he made a big risky throw because he saw a flag. Therefore, let's get that guy.
I'm leaning into the fact that he's gone, you know what? I hate the Jets. Let's just go there and ruin them. Let's ruin them. You know, now there's rumors that Garrett Wilson wants to leave. Like that, let's just ruin them completely. So I love it. But my crazy theory is that he's going to go join Pete Carroll smoking a little bit of whatever they're smoking over at the Raiders and just have a season down there. Imagine them in an ayahuasca trade, him and Pete Carroll. Yeah, elite.
You know what? I actually don't hate that.
Yeah.
12
months.
Because who are the Raiders realistically putting up at the moment? Does anyone know? Does anyone know?
Wait.
Are they going to draft?
What about Wilson?
Russell.
Would there be a Wilson reunion?
Could be.
Because I don't think the Steelers want to keep Wilson.
There's rumours that he's going to go down there now that he's been cut.
Mm.
I think they need someone, and Rodgers still can throw a ball.
Yeah, I think the Pete Carroll's already come out and said he doesn't want Wilson.
Yeah. Wasn't there tension at the end of their little...
Yeah.
Yeah, there was. Russ was like, let Russ cook. And Carroll was like, no, I think we'll just stick to what we're doing.
I'm the head chef. You should. Yeah.
But isn't it, look, in the wreckage of the Jets and everyone to come out of it, I think the big question is Davante Adams still a genuine number one receiver? Is he still a deep threat? Has he just wasted two of the best prime years of his career? You think about it, 2 and a bit years ago, Green Bay, he's the best receiver in the league. Anyone would want him. Wastes a season at the Raiders. Wastes a season at the Jets. His stock is low. Is he the bargain of the offseason? Is he still a number one receiver that can compete with anyone? Is he still at that level? And if so, I think you get him now below what he's worth.
And I'd tell you exactly who should go out and get him. He needs to go home. And that home would be San Fran. If he goes to the 49ers, because that's where...
I thought you were saying.
Not to his first team, to where he played high school and maybe college. Don't quote me on that. Quote me. I don't care. At anyway, GSAU. No, get him to the 49ers so he can replace Debo. Not the same. Definitely not the same talent. But it's a good, nice vet to chuck in there.
Actually, apparently Ayuk's a little bit shopped around as well. Did you hear that?
Ayuk just signed a massive deal. How is he getting shopped around?
Well, he's injury prone.
He held out, got a massive deal. Injury obviously gets in the way, but the relationship with the Niners is not great. That's what I've heard as well. But it's interesting. That's a pretty good move, Adams to the Niners. You can actually see Shanahan making great use of him. McCaffrey coming back, apparently healthy, looking pretty good. That's a scary thing to face, having Adams and McCaffrey, and maybe they can pick up another, a fast X receiver for some downfield, to really get some a downfield separation. To be fair, I think would really work.
Jordan Jennings really picked up towards the end of last season when other players were out, and I don't hate him as a wide receiver 3.
And as long as Purcell doesn't get shot again, should be fine.
He'll definitely get a lot more catches next year per se. He stays away from helping people and then gets shot. But I think it's a great question, especially out of that. Lazard's got a few. He's got interest. I think he'll find a team. He'll be solid for. I think Danny, you've gone a little bit more like Bo Nix at the Broncos, Steelers possibly. Cardinals maybe. But I think that genuine question is Adams one past it, which I don't think he is. He's still going to go into a team and play quite well. Whether he's a wide receiver 1 or 2, that's obviously depending on the team. But I think, and you're going to call me an idiot, I think he does. If they don't find somebody else, he could go back to the Packers, still be a wide receiver 1. They got rid of him because they didn't want to pay him. Now you can get him back and don't have to pay him. So I think there's a chance he does end up back there, a leader in the locker room kind of thing. And this will lead us straight into the next story, which we've kind of already touched on. Debo got traded for a 5th-round pick. So there's not much. He's on the open market. You don't have to. There's not much want for these kind of quality older wide receivers at the moment.
It's interesting, just as a comp, and I don't mean to bring the Bills into everything, but the Bills got a second for Diggs when they traded Diggs away. Now, I think Diggs possibly is a bit more of a receiver than Debo. I still think that, where Debo's at the moment.
But Debo would be a better running back when he
That's
plays
right. But
he doesn't want to play that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But if you think about value, I feel like a lot of these receivers, what you're going to get in draft picks is not what you were getting a year ago. I think the premium on receivers a year ago was much higher. Debo, and we were texting about this before the podcast. Do you remember Debo was holding out and he was not happy at the Niners? And this was off the back of, I think it was his 21 season where he was, was he Offensive Player of the Year? He was, I think he might have. There was talk of him as MVP that year. He was that good as the dual threat running back receiver. And he did not want to sign his new deal with San Francisco because they wanted to run him too much. And he was worried about the damage it was doing to his body. You have a look at where he's at now. He's getting traded for a 5th-round pick, and you would have to say that he was probably right in the attitude that he had towards the Niners because he has not been healthy for a lot of that time since he signed that deal. And right now he is a player that you have big questions about what has he got left and what has been taken away through injury.
I think he'll be, on the other hand, great pickup for the Commanders still. I think he's not going to be a wide receiver 1. He can go in there, be that little, whether they play him as a Swiss Army knife, they've got Austin Eckler on the backfield, they don't need to. I think he would be a good little slot player for them. And, him and Jaden Daniels have already kind of got a little bit of past, bit of history. So I think it's a great pickup for them. And it's a 5th rounder.
And you would say that the one of the biggest beneficiaries is going to be Terry McLaurin, who... if you have Debo out there to worry about, it means that McLaurin isn't necessarily your big threat downfield.
I hate this trade. Absolutely hate it.
Is it because it's in your division?
Because he's bloody been traded to my division, to the Commanders, who, I'm a big fan of. I would love him to be in another division, so I could be an even bigger fan. Don't trade him to my division. Go somewhere else.
Well, your team, mate, which we're going to get onto now, has made some big moves in themselves. The man that you really got around in the whole playoffs. Now, I want to say his name correctly, so you can help me if I stumble. Zach, is it Barm?
Born.
Jesus, that's not how it's written down. He's been locked away. You've got here how he's looking after his champs. He's gotten rid of a couple, so I don't know how he's looking after his champs. Your cornerback room has just been stripped, but you do have some young, healthy cornerbacks ready to go. But the one I want to talk to you about, Danny, and me and Charlie have kind of loaded up on this one, ready to go. Barkley signing a massive contract, being the highest paid running back of all time. This is huge news, considering he's not the best running back in the league.
Fair. He might not be.
That's not what I was expecting.
But
I expected a lot more protest than that.
I know. I got fucking guns ready to go, and you're just... I got bullets loaded. And you're going, yeah, no, you're right. Well done.
Last year he was, though, wasn't he?
Yes, 100%. He was last year.
He might not be, on paper, the best running back in the league, but proof's in the pudding. he's a Super Bowl champion after he came to the Eagles. So it's not just his running game. It was the offensive line. It was everything. It was just that Philadelphia, just the best team in the league, and then have the best running back. So it was just a win-win. It's easy. Plug and play, baby. Plug and play.
Wow, great punditry there. That's great. That's what people tune in for.
Yeah. You shut me down pretty well, though. That was good.
Today's hot topic: are the Eagles the best team in the league, or are they better than that? Let's ask Danny. But
I had a whole thing coming in primed, ready to go to say, you've seen you throw me. Christian McCaffrey is the best running back. You can't tell me I'm wrong. But you've agreed with me, so fuck you.
His Achilles can tell you that they're wrong.
Well, that's what we said. We go down, take the injuries away. I'm taking McCaffrey over Barkley.
Yeah, so obviously he was always going to get signed to this contract, and there was no doubt, take off my Philly hat here. There was no doubt he was always going to get signed to this big deal after you having the season like that. Hopefully he just does continue to, improve on that. And yeah, you can take Team C healthy all you want, but I'm taking the bloke who reverse hurdles over players.
Yeah.
If you actually crunch data over time, and you were a GM running a franchise, if you had a rule, if you had an understanding that players who've had injuries are more likely to have injuries in the future and therefore aren't worth the risk, you would win over time. You might not get the flashes and the brilliance of the McCaffrey season of 2023, but you wouldn't have a lot of your capital tied up in a player who sits out almost a whole season really often. McCaffrey, that was the big thing when he signed with the Niners to me, was he was so injured at the Panthers that the Panthers really didn't have an offense because everything was on his shoulders, and once he wasn't there. So I do think healthy players are worth more money.
Barkley did his knee at the Giants, didn't he? He missed the whole season.
Yeah, he absolutely did. But I don't think, unless I'm mistaken, any other major injuries.
No, and he has the second biggest quads of all time. So he's rehabbed it pretty well. But yeah, you're right. You're going to back a healthy player, obviously, over the Achilles is a real, Achilles of this argument. But yeah.
Can I suggest
you really shut me down? Well done. I've got nothing.
Can I suggest the big loser of the Barkley deal, the record-breaking Barkley running back deal, are the Bills, who are in the middle of negotiating with James Cook, trying to keep him under $15 million at the moment.
Because it hit 20, didn't it?
For Barkley hit 20, but word is that
what was it? Rising boats help all ships or some shit.
Rising tides help all boats. Yeah. But it's interesting. If you have a look at this trend, I think running backs are becoming more valuable because
After
so much money was
ago,
spent on receivers in the last few years, but running backs have made such a difference. And you have a look at teams that contend, they've got a proper running game. They are balanced offenses. It's not just you got Chase and Higgins, therefore you're going to make the playoffs.
Yep.
You need to have a balanced team with a quality run game.
The one thing that does help the Bills is, and again, we would have spoken about this a couple of weeks ago if we're on, the salary cap's gone up. It's another 3 or 4% higher, which 3 or 4% doesn't sound much. But when you're rocking, I think it's a few $100 million, it goes up. It's quite a bit of dollars. So you will be able to fit those running backs into the cap now, which does help, especially when you've got your QB locked away. Another player who's signed a massive deal, and Danny Boy, this one I'm going to ask you about because is he wasting his career by being at the Raiders? Maxx Crosby signed a massive 3 years, $106 million.
Making stacks for sacks, isn't he? Absolutely stacks. Hard when you're doing this at the Raiders. So he's only 27. He's still young, but signs another 3 years. So he's technically under contract until 2029, which we know doesn't really mean much when it comes to the end of the contract. But that is what the contract's to. You're not at the point where you're contending yet, and it's not really looking all that positive in the future either. Your best player is a rookie tight end. Other than yourself, obviously, Max is number one there. But that is a hard argument to say. And the owner came out and was like, Max knows where we haven't been great, but we're going to start competing for championships. I still think you're a long way off competing for championships. It is a risky game.
Are they happy with the Pete Carroll coming in influence? Is that going to help, Charles?
I don't know. I don't know if it's the maybe he's happy with a coach at least with a history of success along the way, and someone who's going to bring some culture is an exciting figure coming in. My suspicion is that minority shareholder Tom Brady must have done a hell of a fucking PowerPoint presentation to Maxx Crosby, suggesting that he knew how to turn the Raiders around. Like, you talk to some people who are close to the Raiders, and they are genuinely like, having Brady around is going to change the culture to a winning culture. And it's like, I don't know. He's got a lot of commentating to do.
He's a
like,
busy man.
how much is he actually going to be doing? But other than that, I can't. Like,
Doesn't he live in Miami?
yes, absolutely. But
I'm not very great with geography, but that's
no, but he definitely hasn't yet. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. But you have a look at the different experiences of Maxx Crosby, who you have to say he's been very faithful to the team. It's a good deal. Like, that's some good money.
It's huge.
But you compare it to Myles Garrett, who has said that I'm wasting my career and I'm good enough to take someone from a contender to a championship. And Maxx Crosby is that player with fewer years on his treads. So I don't know. I would have advised Maxx Crosby against it.
He's become the highest paid player that's not a QB, so it's not bad, but
nothing to laugh at. And it kind of screams to me that he will play one more season, maybe 1.5, and then start kicking and screaming and wanting a trade out of there. Like, I don't know what.
I'm sure there's a clause in there to be like, we don't win the division. I'm out of here.
Which ain't the easiest division to be playing in, is it?
No. Another player that I was a little bit surprised. I didn't hear any stories of him leaving, but it makes sense now that he is. Bosa. Joey Bosa's been released. And there's news, Danny Boy, that we heard that he's possibly going to team up with his brother. Back to the 49ers. It seemed very heavy 49ers tonight.
That is a huge rumor, isn't it? Even Bosa came out and said if that actually happens, it's going to break the NFL. The commentators would just have an absolute field day with this as well. Imagine like the Bosa brothers lining up. I've got a different take. I don't reckon he's going to the 49ers. But imagine if Bosa was lined up alongside Aiden Hutchinson for the Lions. Now that would be a scary defense to face. It's a tough defense as it is. And they were probably only a couple pieces away. You know?
They are definitely a team that you're like, we just need that one or two more pieces and we're home.
Plus, Bosa loves being injured. The Lions love having players on IR.
Yeah.
Perfect signing.
They've now got one of the most experienced rehab rooms in football. They're ready for him.
But you upgraded it. I heard their rehab room's been doubled in size.
Yeah.
Just prepared for this year.
Let's keep going. Let's double.
But you can't see, like, Bosa, like, if nothing else, Hutchinson, who is arguably the most valuable piece of the entire Lions roster and is the future of their team, to have someone just to share some of the workload with as he rehabs back in and gets back to full fitness, it does make sense. I like that one, Danny. I think that's a good one.
That's tough sledding for me in the NFC North. And it's also tough sledding for the Bears, and they are ready for it because in the last 24 hours, they've actually signed 2 offensive linemen just ready to protect Caleb, Danny.
So they're ready to protect your favourite player, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he might actually finally get to shine, because the offensive line was realistically letting him down, and it's why it gave you so much fuel to hang shit on him for an entire season. But maybe, just maybe, he might be able to play to what everyone was expecting him to with a better offensive line.
The only shit thing about it is we, on the podcast, love Torrey Taylor, so we want him to have the ball in his hands. I know he doesn't want the ball in his hands because that means that his team's not going so well. But yeah, look, if he does get time and he still fails, then I've got all the ammo I need. I've got the line off of it.
You don't need any help loading that gun, that's for sure.
Nah, I'm always primed and ready to go. The last one I want to talk about, because otherwise we're going for too long. DK Metcalf has officially, this has been a rumour for quite a while, but he's officially requested a trade this morning. Seahawks also lost Tyler Lockett, who is the youngest looking old man of all time, or the oldest looking young man of all time. He has a terrible hairline, and that's a lot coming from me.
Rich.
I think this is actually, I know I said it before about Adams, but I think this is one the Packers actually should go out and try and get because this guy in Green Bay would be huge, Charles.
He absolutely would, and he's exactly the kind of veteran you want to add. You know, he won't be that expensive with where he's at, but
doesn't eat much either. Yeah, he's like Skittles. That's all he eats.
That's right, just Skittles. Just get a vending machine full of Skittles, and you've got a happy DK Metcalf. And he's still got speed. Like, you have a look at the way he played. Like, he's played in the last 2 seasons. He's definitely still got the speed he needs to make a difference. Yards after the catch, very hard to run him down. I do think you'll have competition at the Packers. I think I would be very surprised if the Bills weren't making a serious play for Metcalf as well, because that's exactly the piece they need. I suspect Amari Cooper won't be coming back at the Bills, and I think that's another off-season rumor I heard coming out of the Combine was that maybe Cooper just is on the way out. Like, he's fading. He's not what he used to be. And I would be inclined to say that the Bills, I think they will take a receiver in the draft. They want a really fast young receiver to stretch the field in the draft. But they need a veteran, and I think Metcalf is exactly the kind of receiver they need.
So, Danny, I've said one for the Packers. Charlie said one for the Bills. Are you saying that the Eagles are going to get him, or what do you think?
No, absolutely not. I think the Bills is honestly the best fit here. And that's not just a shit on you, TMac, as much as I really want to. But exactly what Charlie's saying. Like, it is the sort of wide receiver that they need in that room, where they have been doing it by committee. He's not going to come in with a massive ego, but he's going to make a massive difference. Probably the difference that they expected Amari Cooper to do, which he didn't do. So, like, you plug and play DK Metcalf in there, and he might actually get it done.
There is one Aldi DK Metcalf that became free as of today that I think is equally as likely to go to the Bills, and that's Christian Kirk, got released by the Jaguars. Now, I don't think he's a DK Metcalf, but he's cheaper than a DK Metcalf, and Josh Allen has an existing relationship
the market
with him.
back in the time, and everyone's like, why the fuck's Christian Kirk resetting the market for wide receivers before it went bang, bang, bang?
Yeah. But he is, once again, Christian Kirk still has good hands. Like, he makes plays and he stretches the field. He still is fast enough. So there's another contender there for who ends up at the Bills. But I know that a lot of Bills fans, and I can speak for myself, definitely would rather have Metcalf. I think he's a...
See, what about Tyler Lockett? I think Tyler Lockett's still... He made some big plays.
Yeah. I mean, Tyler Lockett...
That's what he looks old, but he's not that old.
Yeah. He would be a great... He'd be a great wide receiver 3 anywhere. Like, he really could complement a room. You know, have a look at the Texans maybe, who, if they don't go
another
back...
piece for a contender, isn't it?
Yeah, it's another piece for a contender. I think Texans, who were trying to do that with Diggs last season, you can see them going for a Tyler Lockett as well.
And on that, Tank Dell's out for the season. I think he did a planned MCL, ACL surgery. But yeah, out for the whole 2025. So huge if the Texans
bomb to drop just as we're finishing the podcast, Danny boys. Nice.
Dr. Danny
on that bombshell.
Great. Beautiful, boys. Good to be back in the studio talking to the fam. Make sure if we have missed anyone or you think that there is someone we should talk about, hit us up either at Danny Webb AGSU. He loves getting stuff on X or Twitter.
And we want rumors. We want inside.
Yeah,
we want inside word. If you've got
boots on the ground, get us
anyone here who's got an inside line to the Cardinals, what are they thinking? Anyone got an inside line? What's going on in New Orleans? I want to know.
We might have to get those on. We want some everyone. Actually, we might have some New Orleans. I've speaking to a few people, kissing baby, shaking hands. We might have some New Orleans fans to send us some stuff. So good work, boys. NFL draft is just around the corner. That's and like legal tampering is also just around the corner. That's what we're really here for. That's the kind of exciting shit that we want. So
also, they need to come up with a new term other than legal tampering.
Nah, I like it. It's good.
It sounds like, yeah, it's legal tampering, but you're not allowed within 200 meters of a primary school. It just doesn't sound right. Legal tampering is not okay as a term.
Yeah, it's a touch, but don't look.
Yeah.
It's legal. It's
That's
fine.
it. That's it. Get out.
Okay, really turn the mics off immediately.
Yep. All right, boys. We'll see you as we head into the draft. And as always, go Pack Go.
Go Bills.